Shane Gillis, live on stage.
I'm a bit of a history buff, which, by the way, that is early onset Republican.
His biggest tour ever is coming to Des Moines.
You're a white dude in your 20s and 30s, and you're like, I can't stop reading about World War II. It's coming, bro. You're right.
See Shane Gillis with his unmistakable comedic style. Live at Wells Fargo Arena Saturday, May 31st. Get tickets now at iowaeventcenter.com. For more, visit ShaneMGillis.com.
Murph and Andy, proudly presented by Ramsey Subaru and BMW of Des Moines. Live and on demand across Iowa everywhere. From the Channel Seed Studios. This is Murph and Andy. Murph and Andy. Connected by Cellular Advantage.
Let's do it. Welcome to Murph and Andy on Iowa Everywhere. Really happy to not be working at Fox Sports today. Along with Andy Fales and Andrew Downs, I'm Keith Murphy. And Andy, what is it one of our listeners said on YouTube Friday that
January is the Monday of the year.
January is the Monday of the year, so kind of the Monday of months. I thought that was really good. I don't know if that was an original work of art, but
it's the first time I've heard that. It's probably too simple for it to be the first time it
really
was
good.
said, but I appreciate it. I've used it over and over again ever since, although I've tried to give full credit.
Thank you for honoring the dress code here on a Monday, a white button-down shirt. AD, did you get the memo? Are you with us?
Nope.
No, quarter zip in honor of the Manning brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
right.
man,
Yeah,
just to
geez.
remind us that Andrew has a job where he does not have to wear a zoot suit to work.
No time
We did
for
stop
me.
wearing ties because when we went ahead and put the tie on for a day over at 13, people were like, that looks odd.
Yeah,
So-
it was like, our fifth show or something, and people did not like that you two were dressed up on
No,
the show.
they're upset about it. Maybe partly because Andy has jerseys hanging behind him, and those look much more comfortable. Guest House Tavern and Oyster in West Des Moines sets the table for sports and more. Coming up on the show today, the Cyclones reunite, the Hawkeyes embarrassed, and Bluder honored, among many topics here. Guest House Tavern, Northwest-inspired, Midwestern hospitality. Right now, high or low since the last show.
Presented by Wealth Charter Retirement Planning and Tax.
Wealth Charter Retirement Planning and Tax wants you to know that many New Year's resolutions involve getting your finances in order. You can take that first step by just stopping by their website. It's wealthcharterretirement.com. You can give a call to Tim Hawkins and his team, and they can help you get started on that New Year's resolution.
You dropped a negative bomb into a Friday by going low on a Friday. Rare occurrence on this show. So maybe you can counterbalance that by going high on a Monday.
I could do that. Look, I had to do that on Friday because it was the start of January and it was hitting me and everybody just what was ahead. Now, all that in the rearview mirror. I mean, January is a giant bummer of a month. We know that. But that in the rearview mirror, I will say that I am now really kind of ready for a get back to normal week. I may end up regret saying that, but a get back to normal week where, you're putting the Christmas stuff away, the kids are back in school, get things back on their normal schedule, because it's fun for a while during Christmas to have everything, off schedule like that and just kind of do whatever and go with the flow of the holidays. But it's also kind of refreshing to get, turn the page and get back to normal again, the schedule that, your life works best under. And this is the week to do that. The holidays are gone. I mean, most of the kids are back at school. I know that college kids still have a few more weeks off, but my kids are back at school. The house is quiet. It's going to be a little easier to keep it clean, I think, but I'm ready for the get back to normal week.
I can relate to what you're saying because I'm just happy to know what day it is. I was so confused last week. One day I even did a rundown on the wrong day of the week. I had in my head the whole time it was Wednesday and it was actually Friday. The whole thing was confusing. So I loved last week, but still, I get what you're saying. A sense of normalcy comes back into it. My high kind of goes to my mild OCD, or as Jenny calls it, tunnel vision that I have sometimes. I can get something in my head and it's hard for me to drop it. And I hid one of her Christmas presents and I couldn't find it. And I didn't find it by Christmas. And I looked everywhere. I looked all the usual hiding spots. I looked in my closet where she can't get to even if she tries, unless she gets a chair because it's too high for her to reach. Put it up high. Yeah, I looked in Colin's room where I have a hiding spot for Christmas presents. I had all this stuff and I never did find it, and it drove me crazy, and I just kept looking. And then Friday, when we're getting ready to have a few people over to the 1525 lounge for a little get together, a little Iowa Everywhere party, I go to move a backpack. It's actually an Iowa Wolves backpack. I go to move it into the closet because Jenny's telling me, you got to get this stuff out of the way. We can't just have stuff strewn about. And I go to pick up the backpack and I look and there's the present inside the backpack. And then I was able to give it to her this weekend. I presented her with her present, which, Andy, you'll be fascinated with what it is. It's a DNA kit for dogs.
I don't want to disappoint you, but I'm a little short of fascinated. That's sort of interesting.
Okay.
How disappointed was she when you're like,
no shit. That is not that great a Christmas present.
I've been looking for this present for weeks. I finally found it. I'm going to blow you away. It's a DNA kit for dogs.
If you had never found that present, I don't know that it would be a huge difference from where you are now having found it.
All right, listen, jackasses. This is something she asked for Christmas. She wanted this present. I didn't come up with it on my own. This thought would never cross my mind. A DNA kit for dogs. I'm not really even that interested in my own DNA.
Do you
although
have
I have
any,
done the
do you
Ancestry.com.
have any dogs left?
We have 2 dogs left. We put them downstairs the other night, so they
I was going to say I did not see them.
Yeah,
at all.
They were downstairs in the apartment because it's just too much for them and too much for everybody else too. So they were down there. But yes, we have 2 dogs left, and Teeny, we think she's a Chihuahua. We're pretty sure, but we rescued her. One of Jenny's friends found her running down a gravel road in Newton. It's kind of heartbreaking when you think about it. She's all alone running down a gravel road, and she had been spayed. So there was a tracker in her and everything. And we tracked down where she came from, state of Washington. And we left messages. We called the vet there, and the people just, maybe somebody died. We don't know, but they just didn't want her anymore. And somehow she gets left on a gravel road, scared out of her mind. She had lost all her fur just being scared. Her weight was down, all that. And our original intent was to return her to her original owner. Yeah. But they didn't want her. We couldn't find her. So we kept her, and she's loving. She's a delight. Yeah, they just ghosted us. I mean, essentially, they finally get the message. We don't want the dog. So we kept Teeny, and turns out when we got her, she was 6 years old, and she's been a delight. We love her. But where Jenny just wants to know if she's all Chihuahua, if she's a mix, like most of our rescue dogs have been, mutts and
Heinz
mixes.
57 varieties.
Yeah. So that's why Jenny wanted the dog DNA kit. She mentioned it several months ago. I got it, hid it, forgot about it, and then found it. That was my high. Really happy about this. Interact with us on YouTube. Email Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com. On X, it's Murph_Andy. It's all powered by the Cellular Advantage, proudly representing U.S. Cellular since 1993. 35 regional locations. Now let's get the buzz.
The Buzz. Brought to you by Logier Heating and Cooling.
Your Heating and Cooling, dedicated to providing heating and cooling solutions to Des Moines area families. Feels like 15 degrees as we're live here on Iowa Everywhere. So if you need help from Logier Heating and Cooling, January is a good time to get in touch. Buzz today, the Lions thumped the Vikings 31-9 on Sunday Night Football. This is expected to have a huge number of people watching it. Number 1 seed at stake, North Division Championship at stake. And Andy, for us, 2 days after we called for the Vikings to stay with Sam Darnold, he plays his worst game of the season, and it looks like he woke up in a Jets uniform.
Yeah, and I feel really bad for Vikings fans today. I mean, they're still in the playoffs, right? I mean, they still have a chance to go to the Super Bowl and win it, but they could have had the number 1 seed overall and home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and that's huge in the NFL. I mean, it's just huge. And first of all, credit the Lions, who were down so many players from that team, especially from the defensive side of the ball. I mean, they covered the Viking receivers about as well as they can be covered. Now, that said, there were still a few times where Justin Jefferson is open and Sam Darnold flat out misses him. Now, he's facing a pass rush, not standing back there all alone, but, still plays that a championship caliber quarterback makes in our mind. They had multiple chances with 4th and goal and didn't score. That's really hard to forget.
Jefferson's basically unguardable for any length of time. You can do a pretty good job, and the Lions did that. Aiden Hutchinson out for the season, and I think he might still lead the Lions in sacks. That's how good he is. How long's he been out? It's got to be, feels like a couple of months at this point.
I mean, they were rolling when he was injured, but I don't know, 4 or 5 games in, maybe.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, and the fact that they've persevered without him, and he's their best player, is amazing. Jared Goff didn't have a good game either. I mean, he had 2 bad interceptions, but that defense held up and ended up. I don't know that the Vikings got a touchdown out of. I don't know that they got points out of either of those turnovers, but they certainly didn't get any points out of that first interception, which I think the Vikings returned all the way down inside the 10-yard line. So I mean, they had a bunch of chances. Vikings fans feel just perennially snake bitten. But then again, so do Lions fans, right? I mean, nobody the Lions have never even been to the Super Bowl, much less, lost 4 of them like the Vikings have. They haven't even been there, which is incredible because they're one of the original teams. They ain't the Jaguars. They're one of the original teams in the NFL, and they have not been there. But I feel really good for that fan base, and it is kind of fun because we have a lot of connections to that team.
Yeah, we do. Sam Laporta, most catches through 2 seasons for a tight end in NFL history. David Montgomery will get an extra week to heal and could come back. In the meantime, Gibbs scored 4 touchdowns. People were mocking the Lions for also drafting Gibbs. That's turned out to be, we're seeing a little bit of resurgence in the running back, whether it's in the college football game or watching the pros. I know we both love that because we remember when the NFL was like the glamour position, or the running back was like the glamour position of the NFL and college football, and it went so far the other direction. It came where like it didn't matter anymore, and you shouldn't even waste a first-round pick on a running back. They're rethinking that now, and the Lions show why. So that's cool. The path to the Super Bowl now goes through Detroit and Kansas City again, as the Chiefs try to become the first team to win 3 consecutive Super Bowls. Has never happened. But Andy, your point is right about how much was at stake last night. I don't have the percentages exactly right, but coming from where the Vikings are now with that 5 seed and the path they have, it's around 3 or 4% of teams have won the Super Bowl coming from that position. Where the Lions are, it's in the 40s. So it's just such a huge difference. And now as we look at the left side of the screen for those watching on YouTube, you get Broncos, Bills, you Steelers, Ravens, you Chargers, Texans, and then the bye to the Chiefs. Other side, you get Packers, Eagles, Commanders, Bucks, Vikings, Rams, and the Lions with the bye. This is going to be fun, as we knew it would be.
Yeah, it is, and this has been a fun football season, and we've seen, a bit of a changing of the guard. The Chiefs are still in there, but it's fun to see some new teams, new faces in there, new stars. Unfortunately, we still have to go late next week or this week or next week. with that late wild card game on NBC. What is that, a 7 o'clock start?
I thought we were back
20
to
whole
normal.
minutes. I thought we were too.
I thought sound off 10:30. Here we come.
Oh man,
Nope.
I know it's been how long? It's been like 3 years since we had a normally starting sound off. It seems like.
I got home last night at 12:30. That's my earliest arrival of the football season. It's a late day. Patriots beat the Bills.
What are they
The Bills
doing?
had no incentive, but the Patriots dropped from first in the NFL draft to fourth, and then fire Jared Mayo after 1 year following that. And this leads us to a quickie poll from WCI Pools and Spas in Ames and Urbandale.
What do you want your bad NFL team to do in the final week of the season? Tank and get that number 1 pick, or try to win, man? You have some pride.
I think most people want, gosh, this is just so counterintuitive to everything we're taught that you should try. But that number 1 pick can be so valuable, and Patriots fans are pissed.
Well, if you have a chance to ruin the playoffs for a rival, then you want to win. But in the case of the Bears and the Patriots, the teams they're playing against don't care. So it doesn't matter. All they did was cost themselves a better draft pick. And both of those teams need a lot from this next draft. And the difference between, 2-3 slots in the NFL draft can be everything.
1 and 4, that's a big drop for winning a game.
Yeah, it is. And I want them to, I not only want them to lose that last game, I want them to start tanking like the week before, maybe 2 weeks before. If they're really bad, yeah, get that pick. If you've got somebody, coming into the draft that you really think could help fill a spot immediately, that really looks like a future star, man, that's all I'm thinking about as a fan.
And even if not, like even if you have the quarterback you want, the Bears proved a couple of years ago, you can get a lot from that number 1 pick, even if you don't use it. They traded that to the Panthers.
Yes.
They got the next year's number 1 pick. They got DJ Moore. They turned that into, hopefully the basis of a good team moving forward. I will say, as a Bears fan who hates the Packers, I was glad to get that monkey off the back. I didn't realize it had been 6 years.
6 years.
Since the Bears had beaten the Packers. They had lost 10 games in a row in the season, 11 in a row to the Packers. So to be able to kind of get that monkey off the back and give Caleb Williams a fresh start next season, I think is okay. But generally, I agree. You tank and get the highest pick you can get.
But AD, it's not, you weren't at the top of the draft there, so
right. It's
where
not
the
like
Bears
darn
were
close
there,
to it, though.
Yeah, I mean, you're not
4 wins.
Did it cross your mind at any point? Like, well, come on, miss this field goal, or wait, what are we doing here? We need to lose this game. I want to be higher in the draft order.
If
or
it was
we just like it's the Packers.
If it was literally any other opponent, I would have felt that way. But no, the Packers, I want to beat the Packers every time.
Just being reminded of how much you hate all things Wisconsin makes me understand as I think ahead to a discussion that we must have here, how rough it's going to be for you for a few minutes today.
Oh yeah. Well,
might have to hit the head.
To win in Lambeau Field, I mean that is special for any visiting team, but especially the Bears who haven't done that in so long. But I mean, Jordan Love's on the sidelines. The Packers are totally looking. All the fans. I mean, the fans hate the Bears. There's no doubt, but they've got the big picture in mind, and they didn't care.
They didn't care. All right, some more hot topics here for you here on a Monday. Number 3, and still number 3 today, the new AP poll, as expected, Iowa State men's basketball. Iowa State routs number 25 Baylor, a talented, well-coached team. Iowa State wins by 19, and the Cyclones again, and we're going to have this conversation a lot over the next couple of months, again show championship potential. This team has such a high ceiling, not just defense, not just effort. It can shoot the basketball. And it was all on display against Baylor. But I think the takeaway for many people, especially those of us who were around 25 years ago, was the reunion at halftime. Andy, the subject of your What's Bugging Andy on Sound Off on WHO 13 Sunday night.
Yeah, that was a really, really cool thing. I wish we could have seen more of it in the broadcast. There's Paul Shirley right there. Who's that? Shane Power to the left.
Yeah, Shane
right?
Power.
Yeah. I was looking for like a really nice picture spread with everybody's name underneath because I see Cantrell Horton there. I recognize Stevie Johnson, Clint Varley, Andrew Skoglund. I recognize him, Jake Sullivan, of course. Some of the other guys I need help with, and I would kind of like to know exactly. There's Cantrell Horton right there. He was a great player.
Yeah, he was really good. And there's one guy Andy, it crosses my mind because I just saw him. And his name just left me, but you will remember this anecdote. Somebody nominated him on Sound Off Lookalikes alongside Benicio del Toro 25 years ago, and then he sent us a message and said that we inspired him to go to Hollywood and pursue an acting career.
Yeah, we did.
And he was serious.
He's from Knoxville.
He's far left in the
Brad,
right next to Cy.
Yeah,
if you're
he's
watching
taking
on
care
YouTube.
of himself there. I like those blue pants.
Yes, his name is Brad. Brad Davis?
Good. Brad Davis, yeah. Good for him.
Yes.
Breaking out the pastels in January. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice guy.
It was really cool to see that. Larry Eustachy did get a really warm welcome. They all did, as they should, and it looked really nice. Notably absent. Marcus
the two
Fizer.
All-Americans.
Marcus Fizer and Jamal Tinsley. Paul Shirley tipped me off on that on Thursday, even though we heard from a whole bunch of people that both were going to be there, or at least Fizer was going to be there. They weren't. And I don't know what's going on, but you know what, honestly, I think that's kind of cool. Because that leaves something in the tank. Later on down the road, they don't want to wait too long. They don't want to be wheeled out in a wheelchair or something, but at some point down the road, those two could still come back. I don't know that Jamal Tinsley may be just like gone. He may be at the bottom of the ocean, or he.
Well, that's a dark thought. He's not at the bottom of the ocean.
I don't know where. I mean, he could be in the middle of the Bangladesh or something. I had no idea. That guy was hard to pin down when he was in Ames.
He was.
Marcus
I asked
Fizer,
for his ID
once
to go to the locker room, and I was just joking because I'm a reporter at the locker room. It's in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
He's coming down the hallway, and I'm standing there, and I've interviewed him many times. I said, I need to see some identification, please. And he explains to me that he was just at practice, and he's in his basketball uniform. He doesn't have his ID with him. It's like, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Multiple people are telling us that Marcus Fizer had a funeral that he had to attend, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
That makes sense. But yeah, but still, I mean, that's still out there. Iowa State could bring him back, and that would be a big deal to see him again. But it's so fun to see. I mean, we used to see those guys multiple times a week, and to see it and to go this long without. I mean, most of those guys I have not seen since they left Iowa State. But to see them again, it was that was kind of neat. Now, I mean, the basketball game, on the other hand, the score was not indicative of what happened in that game. I mean, Iowa State, there was an all-out technical disassembly of one of the best basketball programs in the country. I mean, Baylor got a bunch of garbage points at the end of that game, and Iowa State killed them.
Mm-hmm.
And this team is funny because it really doesn't look like the teams of the past. I mean, it certainly doesn't look like those Larry Eustachy teams. Doesn't look anything like the Fred Hoiberg teams. I mean, with all the three-point shooting, the point guard position looks so different here. Keyshawn Gilbert is a legit star right now, but he just doesn't. He's not the typical. I don't know. Would you call him a point guard? I mean, I guess you could. I don't know. I mean,
he and Taman Lipsey kind of both run it.
Yeah, they do. So it's different, but you can tell that's T.J. Otzelberger's system. That's his plan. He's now got the guys that he wants in the places that he wants them. And as a matter of fact, he's got too many guys. I mean, he can't get them all in.
He's got Jones and Heisey coming off the bench. Those guys would start at almost any other program in the country.
Chatfield comes in there and he helps out, and they're
loaded.
There's more than that. They really are loaded.
They're loaded, and they're handpicked because they will still play with maximum effort and play defense. Now, they had some offensive rebounding shortcomings. I mean, they're not perfect. There's still things they can get better at, but it's a legitimate contender. I mean, it's not like a pipe dream to think this team could go to the Final Four, and you understand why Cyclone fans are so excited. Back to the reunion for just a moment, because you're What's Bugging Andy. If anybody hasn't seen it, I'd urge you to go to who13.com if you're interested and watch it. It's good. But two things stood out to me about that. One is the passage of time. You're right. These days, with those in our circle, you see the passage of time, our friends, our family, through Facebook and Instagram and other places. But there are these people we don't see until a reunion. And just as they can't believe we've aged this much, we can't believe they've aged that much. And it does just kind of,
and you can't believe it's been that long,
25
right?
years.
Yeah, 25 years is a big chunk of time. It's a quarter of a century.
Right.
It's, almost 10,000 days. It's so, I mean, things have changed so much. And, talking with Paul Shirley, he kind of brought that out to light. I mean, other than Hilton Coliseum has had a lot of changes, but by and large, it still looks like it did when those guys were playing. I mean, certainly from the outside, it does. It functions the same way, but the colors are different. The kids that are in the stands weren't born
right
when that team was playing. And the people, their parents might have been in college at the time. It's so long ago. And so it's kind of a check on your own life and all that's happened and all that's changed, in the world. The world is just a completely different place every 25 years.
You did a good job illustrating that with cassette tapes and Blockbuster Video and the trip to the airport.
It's funny.
Before 2001.
Here's one that was funny: is that I was looking for a picture online of a car cigarette lighter, and there are there are videos on YouTube explaining how those work.
Yeah, I guess my kids would have no idea.
Well, I mean,
They
first
wouldn't
of
know
all,
to push it in.
yeah, it couldn't be more simple. I mean, you push it in, you pull it out, light the cigarette. But cars don't have those anymore. I mean, cars are going without AM radios now, but they don't have cigarette lighters. And if you want an ashtray, you have to pay extra. It's an option, and it goes in your cup holder. When I was a kid, there was an ashtray at every single seat in a big car. Not a nice car.
Right.
Every car or every seat had regular car. Every seat had its own ashtray. My mom's station wagon, which is clearly aimed at families with kids, still had ashtrays at every outboard seat, including the third seat that faced the back. That death seat that you used to sit in?
Right.
There was an ashtray that flipped down from the rear tailgate.
And on airplanes, whole different subject.
Everywhere.
Ashtrays on airplanes. But yeah, we went to see, we'll talk about this more Wednesday, but we went to see the Dylan movie, Complete Unknown. And one of the things they got right, but boy, it was giving me flashbacks to my childhood, is just everybody is smoking constantly. And sometimes, like, people are lighting 2 cigarettes at once and handing one to the other person.
Yeah, I don't want to waste a little bit of lighter fluid.
Yeah, and now in the world we're in, for the most part, somebody smokes, they're going out of the building and off to some designated area.
Yeah.
But in my childhood, people were smoking everywhere all the time, including high schools. We had a smoking lounge.
We did too.
At my high school for students.
I feel like it's more common now to see someone smoking weed in public than smoking a cigarette.
It might be, depending on where you are, and especially in some states, it definitely is. But you're just the passage of time that you illustrated so well, and it really did hit me hard. I was in bed thinking about it last night when you said, because I can remember 25 years ago, I covered this team, you covered this team. It does not seem that long ago, and it's been a great 25 years. But when you said in 25 years, could be dead. It really hit me hard because
in the ground could be.
It's more likely than not in 25 years I am dead, and maybe dead for a while. And that really hit me hard because it showed me I don't have that much time left because those 25 years just raced by.
Yeah.
And
life expectancy is for me is at the end of 25 years, I'll be 78. Yeah. So, which is the age my dad died at. So, and he didn't die all that young. That's dark, but
it's dark, but but it hit me hard. It was another reminder to make the most of this time.
Larry Eustachy was 44 years old when he was the coach of that team. He's almost 70 now. So, he was young. And he had been coaching for a while and was making a ton of money. But that team, it is, I wonder what they were thinking, sitting in the stands, watching those guys play basketball. I wonder what memories were coming back to them.
I'm sure the memories did come back. And I think ultimately this reunion will be remembered for the return of Larry Eustachy. And it's a redemption story in many ways. He got the rousing ovation we expected him to get. And as he talked to Chris and Brent on Cyclone Fanatic, he's a different person now. He has regrets. He doesn't drink anymore. He says he was an alcoholic when he was coaching Iowa State. He knows he made some mistakes. We know about the photos at parties on college campuses and not flying with the team or riding the bus, driving on his own, all of that. But he was such a good coach, and Iowa State was having unprecedented success that it's hard to push a guy out like that until the team starts losing. And inevitably that ended up happening, and he kind of lost control of the culture, and things started to spiral, and it got really ugly for all parties involved. But he says he's like a born-again Christian now. He doesn't drink anymore. He seems happy. It looks like he and Paul Shirley kind of made up and bridged their relationship. And Larry Eustachy made some jokes Saturday that this is great. I'm back with the players, and now they like me. So that's different. And here's Larry Eustachy talking briefly about the reunion.
It's special. It's really, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago I was here, but I guess it was. But it's special. I've come to tears a couple times, like I said last night. These players are so special. These fans are the most knowledgeable fans in the country, so it's really cool.
That video, thank you to Mark Freund at WHO 13. Now we move to the part that Andrew has been trying to avoid, and this is Friday night with Iowa at Wisconsin, Hawkeye men's basketball. And Iowa puts together one of the worst defensive efforts in recent memory, if not the history of basketball. Wisconsin scores 116 points. That's the most points scored by a Badger team in more than 30 years. Wisconsin hits 21 threes. That's a Big Ten record. And Amari McGee, Wisconsin player, says after the game, the Badgers knew Iowa would not play defense, had no interest in defense. That's a brutal assessment. And this was just a disaster. Iowa scored more than 80 and still got blown out of the arena.
Yeah, and it's startling to see a Wisconsin team score like that. I mean, they've been kind of the model of defensive slow down the game basketball, bleed the shot clock down. And, Greg Gard is a different coach. But still, I mean, it doesn't occur to me that his teams have looked quite like this. People want to chalk this up as a sky is falling game.
It's one game.
Iowa's going to win some games. This is a good enough team to win some games that will get everybody feeling better again. But I mean, there are certain games though that are kind of watershed moments or just really kind of like measuring stick moments where I think fans look at them and they say, all right, something is seriously wrong or something is not going to get fixed. And maybe this is one of those games.
It feels like the old definition of insanity, taking the same approach to the season every year and expecting a different result. I think that's where fans are frustrated. Iowa will win some big games. Iowa still has enough talent to make the NCAA tournament, but the big knock on Fran McCaffery's teams at Iowa has been not playing defense, or not playing defense at a level that it takes to advance in the NCAA tournament. Guard play is also a knock, but the first one, the biggest one, is defense. And to give up 116 points to Wisconsin in year 15, it just has many fans going, why are we expecting this to change? It's not going to change. And the one thing that has changed is McCaffery just doesn't look as engaged as he used to. And you have to be careful trying to read too much into body language and sideline temperament, but he doesn't look like he is into it as much as he used to. That may not be the case, but that is the way it appears to many fans.
Well, it's really hard to fire a coach.
One
Basketball
you owe
or
millions
football.
to. Yeah.
You owe them a lot of money. You have players who are connected to that coach. You have often have donors who are connected to that coach, and they want him there no matter what. And then you got to find somebody new, right? And that's hard also. It's a rebuilding process that is not appealing. It's never appealing, almost. I mean, rare occasions it's, something that, people expect to flip around very quickly. But for the most part, what's ahead, a couple of lean years usually. And, you just would really rather the guy that's there work it out and stay patient, especially at a place like Iowa, because they have had coaches who've been there a really long time, and coaches who have worked it out, and they get the talent that they need, and all of a sudden they're a great coach again. So it is hard to have the confidence, the money, and really the opportunities with landing talent to pull off a move like that.
And even if Iowa or Beth Getz and Iowa were to get to the point where they feel like, between the apathy and some of the shortcomings of the program and the NCAA tournament, if you get to that point, this is a terrible time for the discussion. I mean, Iowa took out like a $50 million loan during COVID, still paying that back, about to get into revenue sharing, which is going to be a minimum of $20 million you used to have in the athletics budget that is now has to go to the distribution to players. So yeah, these are all complex things. And AD, I don't know if you've lost control of putting yourself on camera or if your mic's not working, but where are you on this Iowa-Wisconsin game from Friday night?
Yeah, I think Andy said it best, like the watershed moment. And who knows how this season will play out, but it does feel like at this point, and I said this going into the season, this was such a huge year for Fran McCaffery to show that the program is on that upward trajectory again. Last year was a bad year, but you knew that was going to happen after you lost the Murray brothers early. And you had this great era with Garza and Bohannon and the Murrays. And even though you didn't get to the Sweet 16, you still had a lot of fun years and were competitive in the Big Ten, a lot of big wins. The apathy now is so stark. I mean, I don't see how this gets better. Even if this team does start playing well, gets itself to the tournament, I still don't think the fans care that much. I think most Hawkeye fans have made up their mind about Fran McCaffery, and I don't know that there's anything that could happen short of a Sweet 16 run.
A deep run would probably do it.
It
short
would.
Of
and
that.
The tough thing is that's where we are as a program, is until that is reached. Nothing is going to feel like a success. You could be a 1 seed, and if you don't get to the Sweet 16, the whole season is going to feel like a failure just because it's been so long. So it's a really tough place to be. I've been a Fran defender for a long time. I'm slipping on that. I see the same things you guys do. It doesn't seem like his mind is there, and that's understandable. He had sons on the team for the last 7-8 years, and he doesn't anymore. And now his family's all in Indianapolis, and they're together over there, and It's starting to slip, and if this season goes down badly, you could see it ending very quickly.
It's funny you bring up a Sweet 16 run, and I agree with you. I think if they did get to the Sweet 16 this year, I think he would buy himself several more years. I think fans would be okay with that. But what does that say? It's 15 years in, and one Sweet 16 run would be enough to keep us on board. And I do think it would keep enough fans on board. But that right there lets you know a little bit about what Beth Goetz is dealing with here. Yeah. I mean, this is not cut and dry, black and white here, where she knows everybody is absolutely jonesing for a new basketball coach. I mean, I'm sure she's smart enough and plugged in enough at this point to know that one thing, which is not much, that's 2 wins. That's 2 wins in the NCAA basketball
and some of
tournament.
it's just arbitrary. I mean, what your
who
draw
do you
is,
got?
where you go.
How do you play that night? Right. Who's healthy? That kind of stuff. If it is that close, you hesitate to pull the trigger on a deal that's going to cost you a shitload of money and very likely 2 years of rebuilding.
Yeah, it's that dangerous place to get in as a team or a franchise or a program where you're not so bad that everybody's ready to move on. You're not the end of the Steve Prohm era where you don't win a single game in conference, and it's obvious halfway through February a change needs to be made. But you're never good enough to have everybody buy all the way in. You never get that top draft pick, but you never make the playoffs either. And that's a tough place to be, because you're right. It's going to be a hard decision and a costly decision that's going to have to be made.
Yeah, it is above average. It's not average. It's above average over those 15
Especially
years.
within Iowa's program history. I mean, these last 15 years have been some of the winningest years. And we said we want, entertainment and excitement, and France teams give you that. But people don't care anymore. It
is funny. I mean, you do have to ask yourself, would you rather be in a position with your team where you lose your coach because he's so good and somebody else comes in and hires him away? Or would you rather be in the position where you have to fire your coach? I mean, my team has been on both sides of that multiple times, and neither one is pretty.
Right.
Neither one is fun. But honestly, I think I would, just based on Drake's success, I think I would rather be in a position where you lose your coach, because that does say at least that your program, even though it says your program is going to get cherry picked and it's not a big enough deal, but you can't change that. It does say that your program was in such a good position that a guy came in there and succeeded and moved on, and you had some success, and the fans were left wanting more.
And you can love a movie, but it is fun to watch a new movie too. So everything changes when the coach changes. It's also interesting how much women's basketball plays into this, because on one hand, going to the NCAA championship game and winning Big Ten championships and tournament championships and selling out the arena kind of gave cover to the men's program, because everybody was distracted watching Caitlin Clark and Lisa Bluder and all that success, that they really didn't pay attention. They had something to cheer during the dreary winter months of January and February and March, when the weather really sucks here. You had this women's basketball program that you couldn't take your eyes off of as a Hawkeye fan. Well, now, naturally, you're going to take a step back. The attendance is still there, but you don't probably have a Final Four team again at Iowa this year. So now you do notice a little bit more that the men's program is not really getting where you hoped, and the apathy does set in some. There is no apathy with the Grimaldi's fan photo, though. When we get these photos, these are people that really care. They care about the team they're supporting. Could be Little League, could be a college team, could be an NFL team, but you send your photos to Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com, and then every Friday we pick a winner for a $50 gift card to Grimaldi's Coal Brick Oven Pizzeria in West Des Moines and District at Prairie Trail in Ankeny. And there it is, Andy, the Pop-Tarts Bowl trophy. People are so happy to be next to that trophy, although it's not plugged in.
Yeah, send us all the pictures you can there. Love that.
We appreciate it. Well, it was a rough Sunday. The Iowa women lose at home to number 8 Maryland. The Iowa State women lose at home to Utah. And the Drake men lose at home to Steve Prohm's Murray State. Let's start with the Iowa women. They were honoring Lisa Bluder for all she's done, not just at Iowa, but for women's basketball. Just had a spectacular career. It's interesting to look back, Andy, and remember, as you do, that Lisa Bluder at one time, the conversation around her, it wasn't like Fran McCaffrey, but it was like the Iowa women's basketball.
Yeah,
they're good, but they're not as good as Iowa State, and she can't quite get to that next step. And then Megan Gustafson comes along, and they go to the Elite Eight, and then Caitlin Clark comes along, and they go to championship games, and everything changed.
Yeah, and there was that stigma, I think, about Lisa Bluder. And,
a soft one, but yes.
Yeah, it would go back, and they'd go back to Drake and be like, she assembled these incredible Drake teams, but they couldn't get things done in the tournament. And, she just didn't seem like, and I remember, look, I said it, all right, when Caitlin Clark, I think, had finished her sophomore year, I just said, look, I think Caitlin Clark's biggest obstacle at Iowa is going to be Lisa Bluder's coaching. It looked that way to me, and I was looking at history, and I was wrong. I really was, because Lisa Bluder really showed in those 2 years with, Caitlin Clark's junior and senior year. I mean, she had the best player in the history of women's basketball, but she also coached her ass off. I mean, she really did. She really coached well. And through it all, Lisa Bluder is a genuinely likable person.
She is.
She is a good person. She is the type of person who you give extra leeway to, who you give benefits of the doubt to.
Her whole family is nice.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, her whole family. And you look at, she kept all those assistant coaches all that time. I mean, what does that say about her? It says that she's a wonderful boss and somebody that people want to be. I mean, Jen Jensen could have left. Jenny Fitzgerald, they both could have left years ago for
many
other jobs.
times.
And they didn't. And that's because of Lisa Bluder. I mean, it may not be the only reason, but she was a big reason. And to see her succeed, to get to the level, the success, I mean, the highest level, was very satisfying for all of us. And being able to welcome her back was great. But again, I mean, now we've seen her for the last 25 years, but it's been 25 years since she took over that job at Iowa, and a reminder of just how much has changed.
Mm-hmm. Jan Jensen, you mentioned, Lisa Bluder's top assistant at Drake and later Iowa, now the head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Here's Jan Jensen on Lisa Bluder's impact.
I hope she gets into the Hall, because I think she's one of the most incredible people. The way she coached, how she coached. I got to see her, front row seat for most of her career. Humble, understood the mission you want to win. But what I really respected is, she went out on her terms, and I think she showed people how to be a champion, unfortunately, without the ultimate. I think as she handled the first Final Four and all the shenanigans around it in a split second, all the questions. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget her speech she delivered after we lost to South Carolina last year. Class, leader, friend.
It's awesome. Thank you, Blake Hornstein, Hawkeye headquarters, for that video. Clearly from the heart. You have to remind yourself that Lisa Bluder's very much alive. That almost sounds like a eulogy. It's such glowing praise from the heart. But
one of the reasons why she left when she did is she wanted to get out and live more, right? And she wanted to go travel, wanted to see more of the world, and that job took a lot out of her the last 2 years.
All right, we already hit AD with the Wisconsin Friday night. Time to hit Andy with the Drake men losing the second game in a row after a 12-0 start. I did not see this one coming.
No, I didn't either.
For one thing, Drake had won, I don't know, 30 or more games in a row at home, one of the longest winning streaks in the country.
Second longest in the country,
At the
when
Center,
they snapped it. Yeah, and, that goes back obviously well into to Darren DeVries, who's a different guy with a very different team. But, I think I said it a few weeks ago when they beat Kansas State. I mean, when you're playing with house money, which Drake has been this year, you don't know how much of that you got, right? I mean, so you just have to keep playing. As long as you got it, you got to keep playing with it. Use it up. Because when it runs out, there's no chance, there's no guarantee that you're going to get it back. Because, this team is full of guys who were playing elsewhere last year. In a number of cases, they were playing in a different division last year.
Wild.
So they are, clearly extremely well coached and very, very capable. But, there are going to be times where they may not have the talent to overcome a bad shooting night or a great shooting night by their opponent, regardless of whether they're on the road or whether they're on their home court where they haven't lost in forever. So, they fell short at Illinois, Chicago. That was a night where those guys just shot the lights out. And then in the Murray State game, I mean, Drake just didn't seem like they really had it yesterday. They just didn't. I mean, they battled back. They did get a lead, but that was a 7-7 team that they were facing there, and that's not a real good Murray State team. So I don't know. I mean, right now we're all wondering what has happened so far this season. Was it the real Drake team that went 12-0? Or have they fallen back to earth, back to a point where they, closer to where they will be for the rest of the season right now? Or is this a total fluke? They'll get right back to the type of basketball that they played earlier. We just don't know.
We'll find out soon enough. Now here's Ricky Gervais on drugs as creative sparks.
I've got one of those mates. My mate said this to me in all seriousness. He said, but the thing about heroin, Rick, he said, some of the greatest albums of all time were created on heroin, weren't they? I went, yeah, but they were created by some of the greatest artists of all time, weren't they? You're a plasterer. Right? If I were to give you heroin, you wouldn't come up with Dark Side of the Moon, would you? You'd fall asleep watching the telly and burn the fucking house down.
Confluence is the official beer of Murph and Andy. Confluence, where good things come together. This was the one beer that completely disappeared at the party Friday night. All the Confluence was gone. Confluence IPA, the Des Moines IPA, was the first to go.
Yeah, those tall boys are supposed to keep you going for a little bit longer, but I don't think that actually had that effect at your house. Those things were flying off the shelf, flying out of the cooler. I guess that's how you say it if it's a beer, but yeah. A lot of Confluence.
Mackenzie's husband, Jeff, saw that Confluence, and he's a big guy, and he had himself a Confluence. Let's get some more here on a Monday.
But wait, there's more from Either Or Eatery and Patio.
All right, they're starting to wonder over Either Or.
Did you go
Andy.
there again?
Yes, I did. Big fan. A great spot for date night, fun night out with friends, bite to eat with family. That's what we did. And yeah, we stopped at the Polar Bears again because they're wrapping up tinsel now, but one more photo.
Yeah, that was a great run that they had there, but it's still a beautiful place, even when they get back to their normal decorations. I think Scott and Whitney Seelix are going to think about doing those kind of holiday pop-ups more often there. Once you get addicted to holiday decorations, you can't stop.
I'm getting close to Norm status there. Hey, Murph!
Yeah, you want to? Here come the Murphys. You want your regular table? Nah, you're welcome there all the time. Well, it is National Take Down the Christmas Tree Day, so segued right into that one. We are halfway there. We got one down. Cut it up, put it in the compost bin there. The other one still needs to come down. Unfortunately, that's the really, really big one. That is Kahala's personal tree. That's still got to come down, but most of the rest of the Christmas decorations in our house are put away. But it is that time of the year where I realize that we have last year, I really smushed those decorations into the bin to get them back on the shelf. And this year, B, we have added more decorations, and I don't think we're going to fit all that stuff back to where it came from, which is depressing.
It's interesting you'd say that because Jenny bought all new bins this year and put the stuff up Sunday. She worked hard taking everything down. And I was having this discussion with one of the managers over at Tinsel when we were there Saturday at Either Or. When you take all that stuff down, suddenly your home or the restaurant looks it looks a little bit bare because Christmas decorations tend to be such bright colors.
Jenny is such a great decorator too. She has such an eye. I'm envious for the eye of the eye that she's got, and your house looked spectacular. It's just beautiful. All that you guys have done and her decorating flair. And whatever help you gave her, which I'm sure isn't a whole lot. But anyway, man, we really got lucky yesterday, this weekend. Did you see any of the video out of Kansas City, Wichita, Topeka, Western Nebraska?
This is the Midwest, this photo of these three on bikes in what looks like a snow squall.
My brother is out shoveling snow in St. Louis right now. Our friends in Columbia are totally socked in. It is they got a massive winter storm. Some of the shots of people trying to drive on the highway around Kansas City where they've got like a Chevy Suburban with four-wheel drive and they're just sliding across the highway. There's more cars in the ditch than on the road. We stayed north of that entire storm. I think it only hit the southernmost counties of Iowa and then just wreaked havoc below that.
Well, they're expecting a big snowstorm in the Dallas-Arlington area ahead of the Cotton Bowl. A lot of snow. And officials there are already putting out the warnings that they don't handle snow real well in the Dallas-Arlington area. So plan for that. Leave some extra time. Know that it's out of the ordinary, but that's a wrinkle. Now, the game is inside because they're playing in Jerry World. It's not the old Cotton Bowl that we remember from decades ago, but they call it the Cotton Bowl even though they're playing at AT&T Stadium. But outdoors is going to be covered in snow.
Yeah, we get kind of a kick out of that, right? When Texas gets hit with winter weather, which isn't very often, but they just lose it. They don't know how to deal. They can't handle it. In an unprecedented move, this was interesting. This jumped off the headlines at me yesterday. The Department of Transportation has hit the airline JetBlue with a $2 million fine for operating 4 chronically delayed flights on the East Coast. So they arrived more than 30 minutes late, more than half the time for at least 5 straight months.
Wow.
The fine in part will go towards compensating JetBlue passengers already impacted and those who see cancellations and lengthy delays in the year to come. Now, of course, when in doubt, blame the government. So JetBlue is just saying, well, not our fault. We, the air traffic controllers, couldn't get our planes down in time. Well, somehow or another, this did not have the effect on the other airlines that are also using the same sky as
same
JetBlue.
air traffic controllers.
But yeah, we don't run into JetBlue very much around here.
No.
But they're always at the top of that annual list of the tardiest airlines. What was it? JetBlue, Frontier, Spirit. Yeah.
What you hope for a fine like this is that it's just a deterrent and an attention grabber for the other airlines.
Yeah. Get those flights in on time. 50 years ago today, Wheel of Fortune premiered. That's what it looked like. That Chuck Woolery?
That is Chuck Woolery. That's not Vanna.
No, Vanna and Pat Sajak didn't. They debuted in, I think Pat Sajak was 81 and Vanna was 82. So they've been there a really, really long time.
Wow.
This is another Merv Griffin show. But man, that is a run right there. 50 years.
50 years and still.
And people still call. They're pissed when we don't air it.
Yeah, there could be a tornado ripping through Des Moines, and if it interrupts Wheel of Fortune, there could be somebody whose house is about to come down, and they're still mad at Ed.
Yeah, your weather crawl on the bottom. I couldn't see the letters. We covered it up. Yeah, well, there was a tornado coming. I don't care. We'll see what we will. Each year, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission compiles data from the nation's emergency rooms and shares it with the world. From that data comes this list of all the things we shoved into our rectums last year.
Okay. All right. Welcome to Monday.
Well, that looks like a beer bottle there. Is that the first one here, Andrew?
It's just a picture I found.
Just something shoved up somebody's wazoo. Jeez. Patient says he and his wife got carried away and a portion of a plastic screwdriver handle is in his rectum. A xylophone mallet, a 12-inch ratchet extender. Patient doesn't know why.
This is not one rectum, right? These are...
No, this is all around the country, different rectums. I guess it'd be recta. Yeah, various recta.
Various recta.
Yeah, okay. Cooking spray. God, I hope that lid was on. Patient states she believes she has a vibrator in either... I'm sorry, I'm not going to read that one. Jeez. I tried to clean this up a little bit, too. Jeez. All right.
Wait, hang on. You're reading the ones that you've approved.
Yeah, that one slipped by the radar there. Broomstick. That always happens. 18-inch rubber dong. 18 inches. Jeez. Shoved a bag containing 20 hydroxyzine pills into his rectum for street cred.
Not to smuggle.
No. He just wanted to be known as a guy that would do what it took. Whatever it took. 3 AAA batteries, 2 AA batteries, and somebody else with 1 D battery.
Why batteries? To light your O-ring? What are you trying to do here? What are you trying to accomplish?
God only knows. This could have been a contest. I don't know. Somebody could have been tripping on acid and thinking that this would, give more energy or something. 2 plastic bottles and a shot glass. Like a whole bar set up there. The tail of a toy dinosaur. So they broke it off. Patient states he tripped in the shower, fell backward, and landed on a shampoo bottle, which became lodged in his anus.
Oh, what a 1 in a million shot that was.
Yeah, 1 in a million shot, Doc. 1 in a million. Patient states he slipped and fell in the bathtub, landing on a shark toy. Oh,
ouch. Yeah.
Hope that was one of the toys that has its mouth closed.
No one wants a dorsal fin up the poop chute.
No, they don't. Cigarette lighter.
Oh man.
Took vibrator out of anus and noticed the battery had come out. Light bulb broken, metal toilet paper holder, motorized tire pump inserted into her rectum, and it was insufflated for a duration of approximately 5 minutes.
God bless our healthcare emergency room workers. How uncomfortable does it get before you're like, look, this is embarrassing, but we've got to go to the ER. I've got this shampoo bottle up my ass.
A friend of ours over the New Year's holiday, who is a nurse practitioner, was explaining I'm going to mess up the term here. It's like negative pressure, like you shove something up there and like your whole body closes around it, makes it very difficult to get it out. She was talking about somebody had used like one of those 3D cell mag lights and couldn't get it out. The thing was like turning on and off and stuff, but it was, backwards.
Oh my God.
So their ass was really, was a flashlight for all intents and purposes, but they couldn't get the thing out. But they had to shove a straw up there to provide some air to relieve the negative pressure.
It's a strong muscle. I mean, if you've ever had your prostate checked, the doc usually has to tell you, like, hey,
relax
loosen up a little bit here. Try to relax.
Yeah, it tries to play defense there. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Marbles, darts.
Darts?
You couldn't find something better than darts.
Like a Nerf dart? You don't know. Maybe somebody was. Do you think
Long
somebody
dart.
they're like, hey, go ahead. Here's your bullseye.
They're playing a game of butt darts. One guy's really good at it.
Yeah, he
All
is.
right. Plastic lemon, fake banana, and the one I cannot figure out, a Jell-O mold.
A Jell-O mold? That's circular.
Like the ring?
Well,
the ring?
2 rings.
Maybe there's Jell-O molds that make different things, but I don't see.
Andy, are you okay?
No.
All right.
All right, we're gonna have to cut this short. Let's
Andy,
say
I wasn't ready for this.
I know that was too long. I went too long. Hey, we'll save. I got it for Wednesday. I'll save a game of Who's the Asshole, but let's finish with a quick check of Facebook Marketplace, which right here in good old West Des Moines, this gem can be had. Somebody's selling some poles. Apparently, really nice poles. They're $200 a piece. The X-Pole Expert. It screws into the floor and the ceiling, so it'll support some weight there. But you can
Dancers sold separately.
Right? Yeah, no, it doesn't come with the dancer. You got to do your own pole work. But you can have one of these. West Des Moines, she's got a whole bunch of them. This person's selling them.
What?
$200 a piece.
Yeah.
Anybody with a really unique New Year's resolution out there? This could be it right here.
You could probably, I don't know if these shorten or lengthen, but you install it on a bus maybe.
I think it's a smart investment. I mean, the guys at Wealth Charter would probably tell you, look, you want to get into this kind of thing, you have to start with the apparatus. You got to get that all set up at your house. And if you can get it on Facebook Marketplace, you're saving some money.
A pole often
Makes
leads
sense.
to growth.
Jeez. Where do you put that?
The pole?
Is the basement or the attic or the garage? Or
The shower stage.
The shower stage. It takes a drain, waterproof tile. You don't want to be falling off that. Yeah, you can't do it on carpet. That's for sure. All right, that's your more, everybody.
Wow, Andy.
That was too much. That was too much. That was not a. That didn't have a Monday feel to it.
Happy 2025.
Yeah, geez. Welcome to the all-new Murph and Andy.
I would like to know how all those people on that list are doing.
The people on the poll list or the people
on the shoved up the ass list. That was I mean, they're humbled. You know that.
Yes. Yeah.
Are they?
I would like to. I would
embarrassed?
like to talk to like a healthcare person that has to take. I
Yeah.
mean, dude, they have to laugh, right? Or they have to.
Well, they got to take it seriously.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I understand it's a procedure and it's dangerous and things could happen. I mean, nobody wants to stitch up an O-ring.
Because you know that those people are telling other people later.
They're going around the corner, aren't they?
You're not going to believe this. Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
take a look at this.
Yeah, we've topped the pop bottle.
Yeah,
We
if
have a wine
you
bottle.
you think if you're like in the ER with that situation, there's like a parade of doctors and nurses that suddenly come wandering in just to look and witness it for themselves. And you know that's going on. You're like, you couldn't possibly need 5 other doctors in this room. They're just coming in here to look at this thing that I've shoved up my ass.
Do you think they can identify the walk when they come in?
Yeah.
Like
oh,
it's-
yeah. They're like,
Like,
oh,
hey, we got a John Wayne in the ER.
this might be a Jell-O mold. Person is really shuffling.
Hey,
Jeez.
this person's got ass sparks. I think they've got a butane lighter up their butt.
A butane lighter. Look at Sam Lozada. The ingenuity of man is unmatched.
Nothing like it. Time for Throwdowns here on a Monday, please.
Throwdowns. It's Throwdowns. Backed by Heartland Tire and Auto.
All right, let's throw it down, Andy. Speaking of assholes, Aaron Rodgers had a good game to end a bad season yesterday. He just turned 41. He finished his 20th NFL season. Do you expect Rodgers to retire this offseason?
He should retire. He should retire, but I don't know. I mean, he doesn't see the world the way the rest of us do. I think that's very clear. I honestly, I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't retire. He doesn't want to go out this way with a 4-win season. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But I don't know. He may want a full year with Davante Adams. Does he have that? I honestly don't know Adams' contract situation, but he doesn't want to go out like this.
AD, first of all, props to your best transition line of all time. It's going back more than a decade. Didn't see it coming. Well done. I know it came from your heart. I don't think he's done. I think he'll try to find a perfect situation where a team is just stacked and needs a quarterback like Peyton Manning was with the Broncos. Manning couldn't even throw the football down the field anymore. Rodgers has more arm strength than Manning had. Manning won a Super Bowl that year with the Broncos. So if he could find the right situation, I know he thought it was the Jets. It did not turn out to be the Jets. I do expect him back.
Murph, this was the Sound Off knockout poll last night. Which of the 4 remaining college football teams are you most sure won't win the championship?
I voted for Penn State because I don't think Penn State can beat Notre Dame and then also beat Ohio State or Texas. I just can't see the Nittany Lions doing that. I know they have won a couple of games here, but they also have had the easiest path to the semifinals. So I'd pick Penn State.
Yeah, I picked Penn State also for all the same reasons.
All right, Andy, you brought it up here, but the snowstorm that missed us hit Kansas City hard, 11 inches yesterday. It's cold here. Do you wish we had a little more snow on the ground?
No, actually, I'm kind of glad we don't. I mean, I do like snow. I am it's a lot of work clearing the driveway, dealing with all that. It really is. It's like if we're going to get snow, I want it to hit on a Friday night. I don't like it when it hits, in the middle of the week or where I've absolutely got to stop everything and go out there and deal with it. It's a lot of work. And I also am just kind of to the point where I'm kind of past it all. I used to just love snow.
Snow is beautiful. I love to see it come down, and it's great on Christmas or something like that. But then once it's here, you got to deal with the aftermath, which is everything from tracking in mud and snow and just having it show up everywhere. And then eventually it just kind of turns dirty. Yeah. So no, I'm fine. Let others have it.
If it's going to be 10 degrees, I'd rather have a little snow so we could, go out and play outside. Shout out to Heartland Tire and Auto for sponsoring Throwdowns. They treat you like family at Heartland Tire and Auto.
They got me ready for the snow. I got a new set of tires there, and it is a relief just kind of knowing that I got that extra security there, in and out in like an hour. Kelly's the man.
It is time for the Andrew Downs audio drop of the day. We call it the AD Squared.
We do. It's powered by Game Day Men's Health. You can find them in Ankeny, West Des Moines, North Liberty, out on the eastern side of the state. They've done wonders for me, can do wonders for you. Men don't care about their health that much, or at least don't go out and do anything about it. But you should. Go to Game Day Men's Health. They can help you get back on your feet.
You do look good, AD. I want to just pay you a compliment because I saw you Friday night. It'd been a while since I'd seen you in person. You look good, and Chris Williams is striking improvement.
Yeah. He's been on the tee about 6 months longer than I have, so that's where I'm headed.
He looks so much better. I was thinking, do I need the tee? I mean, what's going on here? Jeez, if Williams can look good, this stuff must work.
Well, you were very fascinated with Cam Scadaboo and the puke and rally that he had in the game against Texas over New Year's. And last night on Sound Off, your co-host, Mr. Sound Off, John Sears, had a similar situation.
Oh.
I'm sick. I don't think I can do the show tonight.
What would Scadaboo do?
Puke and rally.
Puke and rally.
Now get out there. Fine.
Oh, hang on. Use this first.
And then he did it. He had a good show. I don't know that it was Scattaboo good, but he rallied pretty well.
It's really unfortunate that he was wearing a microphone when he was in there with that really juicy, productive vomit.
Those sound effects.
He's got the mic on for the show, and it happened to be there, so we're able to record all of it Frank Drebin style. Quickie poll results presented by WCI Pools and Spas.
What do you want your bad NFL team to do in the final week of the season? You want them to tank and get that number one pick, or try to win? Point of pride. 78% say go ahead and lose that game, get that number one pick, or prove your number one pick even. Only 22% say try to win.
Yeah, so much for competitive balance and spirit. Just tank. We want that better pick.
Get that pick.
All right, that's a good Monday. Had fun. Thank you for being part of Murph and Andy. We do appreciate it. Thank you for supporting local media right here on Iowa Everywhere. Visit the merch store if you're interested. It is at iowaeverywhere.com. And please like and subscribe. Leave a review if you feel like it. We are back Wednesday, and we sure hope you are too, even after that 10 minutes of rectum insertions.